Hello, good morning, and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. You join me at the hub with this. Two of my friends just bought this Tesla Model S with over 250,000 miles on it. And what's super unique about it is typically when you see these very high mileage Teslas, they're the early nose cone cars that have had a lot of time to accumulate the mileage. Well, this is actually maybe the sweet spot in the Model S lineup. This is what's called a Raven, and it means that it has some of the newer technology of the current Palladium Model S's, like my Model S that I have, but also some cool older stuff in there as well, like the vertical screen and better seating position in others. This car is from 2019, which is sort of the Goldilocks year. We'll talk about that. And it, like I mentioned, 250,000 miles. We'll tell you what Ben and Mike paid for this thing, take you on a tour of it, and of course, give you some of the data because yes, we've run it in our range test, we've run it in the 10% challenge, and we've done a charging test to really figure out if their money went to a useful vehicle. Let me take you on a full tour of this old 250,000 mile Model S. This video is brought to you by Iona, North America's premier charging network. With unmatched commitment to elevating the customer experience, Iona is opening America's roads to all EVs, giving drivers the coverage they need, the reliability they deserve, and the amenities they crave. This video is also brought to you by Eaton. Eaton is a one-stop shop for implementing reliable and innovative EV charging infrastructure at your site. Across all applications, Eaton's EV charging infrastructure, hardware, and software gives you the scalability, flexibility, and intelligence you need to charge today and scale up tomorrow at eaton.com/EVCI. Good morning, Benjamin.
Hello.
So you guys just bought this, which is a Midnight Silver?
Midnight Silver Metallic. Yeah.
Midnight Silver Model S, not a number. So like typically with old Model S's, they're like 70D or 85.
90, 100, whatever it may be.
This is just standard range.
Yeah, this is when they changed all the naming with the Rivian architecture upgrade. So it just says on that dual motor. Doesn't actually tell you the battery.
Let's show everyone.
It just says dual motor.
So this was an odd time for Tesla because there's a couple changes to this that were unique. So
performance real quick.
Oh, now it's the fast
it's
one.
The underline. That's how you can tell it's performance.
Before we get into everything, can we just tell everyone what you guys paid for this?
Yeah, so this thing was just about $9,000. Under $10,000 after tax.
And it has FSD.
And it has FSD.
Okay, crazy. That's an insane deal. And it looks nice. We'll take everyone on a tour and show them around this. But just to kind of clarify what this car even is. So Tesla in the early days had the nose cone cars.
Yep. That was up until about 2015.
Yeah, 2016.
16 and a half is when they actually switched to the new. This is when we were at Tesla, so we know all this stuff by heart.
Yeah.
But this is also when Model 3 was out. So, in Model 3, you saw that dual motor badging and things like that. So
yes.
This is when they're trying to justify Model S's to people instead of telling them to wait for a Model 3.
Exactly. You're right, because Model 3 had just come out maybe a year before this car. And a little bit before that, but that was mostly for employees who had the early ones. There was still a wait list for Model 3.
Yes.
It was hard to get them. And Tesla had S's and X's that arguably aren't that much better than a Model 3, and in many cases worse.
Yeah.
And that's where this car was.
Yeah.
And
it's an attempt to justify a Model S to people who felt like they wanted to wait for a Model 3.
Right, exactly. And so the Model S for the Raven got some significant upgrades. The first is, when did Raven come out? 2019?
2019, I believe, yeah.
And what's the build date on this one? Can we open up the...
Is it like in April or something, maybe?
There we go. Yeah, 5 of 19.
May. Yeah.
And so the first major change between this and older Model S's was the suspension.
Yes, so it's the adaptive air suspension where you can adjust not just height, but your firmness, your softness, and kind of how it reacts. So it gives you a more stable, more comfortable ride. The big thing up front, as we've just been experimenting with on the back roads today.
Yes, so the big thing, of course, so the suspension is very similar to the current Model S.
Yeah,
where you
the same part number for all we know.
Might be the same. This car drives great. We just had it.
Very comfortable, very compliant.
We'll talk about your road trip, but we did a whole podcast about that, so that will come.
For that one.
permanent magnet front motor. This is the first time Model S and X got a permanent magnet motor. And the big thing for that is one pedal driving.
Pedal drive is awesome to have. Feels a lot more modern as a result. That is the Model 3's permanent magnet motor that you find in the Rivian Model 3 shoved up front of here.
And that is like a huge benefit of this generation car.
Yes.
So then the rear is just the small induction unit. But the problem is, even if you got a performance one of these, then you get the large drive unit in the back, right?
Yeah. But those have a coolant issue that you have to worry about not killing your inverter, essentially.
Right. So you really want to avoid early Model S's, all of them, with large drive units because they will fail, the motors.
Yeah. Not an if, but when.
Right. And we have a whole channel, Out of Spec Renew, that goes into how to repair it, how to preventatively repair it, but it's thousands of dollars to do a coolant delete. And, you know, all those early Model S's typically have lunched a motor at some point due to like bearing issues. And, you know, I think actually Tesla really did a poor service to the early Model S owners because they replaced them with motors that also still have the fault.
Yeah, they didn't have a revision or anything that solved the issue.
Right, up until a year ago. The new ones do have a coolant delete from Tesla.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it's like revision G or something. Yeah,
it took them a couple letters to get there.
Took a couple letters to get there. So the other weird thing about your car, Ben, is this is not your typical Model S long range, which was really the only one that was available at the time. And then they offered for a very small window
4 months or something, it sounds like.
A standard range.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
100 kilowatt hour battery. 100 kilowatt hour battery. This is a 75 kilowatt hour battery. So it's basically 75D that's kind of been upgraded in that sense with the new motors and the new interior technology and suspension. So it's a 350 volt battery pack, nominal. It's not, what we learned from this after our charge test is a Model 3 with the same size battery can do a lot more with that battery for some reason in terms of charge rate.
What they really should have done was just put the Model 3 battery in this.
That would have been amazing. Actually, this car would be significantly more impressive with that because then you get really good charging.
Right. So the early Model 3s, which you and I both owned early Model 3s, 250 kilowatts, they ripped.
Decent curve. Yeah.
Decent curve. I mean, they were, the thing was, when those cars launched, 2019, version 3 supercharging wasn't a thing yet.
Correct. Yeah.
So no one knew 250 kilowatt charging was like going to be a thing. All the Model 3s were future proofed for it.
The only ones who are actually learning this are people in Europe with CCS. And they're like, whoa, this thing can do 200 or, you know, 205 or whatever they were finding out at the time.
Right. And we were limited. And so this car didn't seem that bad at the time. But when they unlocked version 3 charging, it all went like, wow, this charges like ass.
Yeah. You get 130 kilowatt peak at like 12%, and then it's just...
So at 50% state of charge,
you're getting like 65 kilowatts.
65 kilowatts. And the old Model 3s would be doing well over 100.
Yeah, they could be. So,
yeah. So that's the main problem with this Model S is they didn't have unlimited free supercharging that was transferable.
Correct.
And what else? Yeah, they just charge like ass. But other than that...
Most of these are going to be a long range out there that you'll find. They'll be more expensive because of that. But most of these will have a 100 kilowatt hour pack, which will do like upper 150s, maybe. I think that I've seen photos of 180. Yeah. And you rip.
And that's basically the like P100D battery.
Yeah. That's probably the real one to have, but as a commuter, which is this car's purpose, cheap was the win. You know, it's a beater car. It's perfect for that.
So you guys found this car in Seattle, and then you flew there from Raleigh.
Yep. And we're driving it back.
And you're driving it back, which is why you stopped in here, so we could run it through all the tests. Appreciate that. Yep. And, you know, like I mentioned, I'll leave the Out of Spec podcast link below to where you talk about your road trip and everything. Let's just look at the condition. Can you pop the front trunk? This is also from the era where Model S had physical keys, right?
This one's got a bit of a questionable key case on it, but...
Yeah, and this was a one-owner car, right?
One-owner car.
And that is key, I think, when you're looking at these super high-mileage Teslas, just because they don't require much maintenance, but every car does need maintenance.
Yeah, like this one, you know, having the original, like, OE tire spec on it, you know, that tells you a little bit how cars been cared for.
Oh, so it's still using the Tesla tires.
Yeah.
They just brought it there.
What are they?
Oh, wait, keep it open real quick. I want to see this. So this is the same size front trunk I have in my Model S.
Yeah.
In the new ones. Looks nice. Washer fluid fill is there. I mean, nothing looks super scuffed up.
No, I don't think the front trunk had a lot of use. But the rear trunk's in good shape, too.
Yeah, let's look at that.
As far as, like, do you want to see, like, dings and scratches.
Yeah. Show us all the problems.
Missing a little center cap there.
Okay, that's easy.
I think a dog chewed on this. I'm gonna be honest. I've never seen that kind of damage before.
That's a weird, because like that's not really a rocket.
Acorn or hail dent here, like 2 of those.
Yeah,
pretty good though. There's no like major scratches or anything.
You can tell they had roof rails on it before.
They had the protector on.
Yeah.
All the lights work, and not a single burnt out LED on this car, which is very nice.
That is nice.
We've got our luggage back here.
Yeah, but you got the partition shelf, which is good. Luggage. It came with the UMC.
Came with the UMC and the J1772 adapter.
Wow.
No J1773 adapter, unfortunately. I'm bummed.
Yeah,
about that.
can't paddle charge
with that. No paddle charger. The cameras are really good. I mean, I've got a Gen 1 Rivian, and the cameras are not amazing on that. This camera is high def, which is
that's really
nice,
sad.
but also upsetting at the same time.
Let's look at the back seat. So the one thing with these high mileage cars, you always want to check the back seat because they make sure it wasn't an Uber. And
these are road trip food.
Yeah, some road trip food. That's okay. Ben, it looks brand new back here.
Seats are great.
I mean, just a little bit, but this is
weird. The owner put this like door sill plate that's like Model S, but they put it on really poorly on this side.
Yeah, okay, that's
the only downside.
That's weird, but whatever. But other than that, dude, this thing looks so nice. You got that big glass roof, super tinted like my Model S as well. And I drove this car around today, and my Model S is only a few years newer than this, about 3 years newer, and this feels every bit as modern as my Model S.
Now, like the steering wheel is the old Tesla steering wheel, so like that is the thing you feel. But,
yeah, let's show everyone that.
Because it's big and chunky.
But I think the seating position in this generation car is better. Now,
I think the seats get lower.
Yeah, the seats go lower and the wheel comes out farther, which is something I mentioned when I talked about a 2017 Model S, Alyssa's uncle's car. Yeah. This is really the only major wear and tear, I would say. This sort of break in the seat. What do you think happened here, Ben?
I think that's just sliding in and out, over the bolster, so to speak.
Yeah.
But a car 250,000 miles to have this be your wear and tear.
It's not bad, dude.
Bad. And you can buy these seat covers for like $300 on eBay, maybe cheaper from Tesla, who knows?
And these are the non-leather seats, right?
Yes. Yeah, this is non-leather.
Which is why it holds up so well.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're getting out of the leather into the premium engineered synthetic material, I think was what they used to call it back then.
Okay, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's got Alcantara
headliner. Actually, yeah,
lovely.
It's
and
also got, this is going to be key for certain people.
Oh, dude, it's still got the cover on there.
Still got the protective sticker.
What the heck?
But it's got the lit vanity mirrors, which didn't come out until I think probably about with Raven refresh.
I think that was Raven. That's Model 3 part right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's got like a bit of new stuff, a bit of old stuff. It's really the final run of Model S until the new Palladium cars came out.
Yes.
And those are wider. And like
the fenders, they stick out.
And so then they had the big horizontal screen. This one's still got the vertical screen, but it has MCU2.
MCU2. So that means we get what everyone really wants. I don't know, where is it? Theater?
Yeah. YouTube.
So you've got your media. You can TikTok while you're driving. That's all anyone needs to do.
I don't think you can do it while driving.
No, but that's the dream, right? One day. Does TikTok work anymore?
I'm gonna take a seat in here. Oh, the seats are so nice. Wow, I forgot. I thought these seats sucked until I sat in your car, and I was like, no, this is way better than new Model S. And you do sit lower.
You do. Yeah, the seat gets lower.
And although the wheel comes up.
You're sitting in might be more broken in than this cushion, because I think I'm sitting higher right now than you are.
Yes, I think this seat's just broken in really well.
Yeah. So the key is to have someone with a bit of heft drive the car for 200,000 miles. That way the seat gets nice and low because the foam gets squished down.
But you've got your nice center console here with cup holders there and cup holders here. And this is totally different than new Model S.
Yep, but you still have, you can cover it up. I actually like this too. These interchangeable, these are on the little pegs, so you can kind of rearrange the size of that.
Yeah. How many, let's show everyone the mileage on this thing. So oh yeah, it's right up here. 252,079. And you can see it shows Model S standard range. Now, should we...
That's the only place it says it too. I don't think you can see it in here if you're trying to identify. Oh, it does say it here.
Standard range.
The new, like a 2023 standard range car doesn't list it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So let's go in here.
We have service mode, yeah.
So there was 2 different versions of these cars, right, Ben? Where there was
I think you just typed that. I think you just have
I just service. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was thinking and listening at the same time. There were 2 different versions of this car.
Go ahead.
Can you explain the 2, like the 100 kilowatt hour software locked version?
Yeah, so standard ranges in some rare instances had a 100 kilowatt hour battery that's software limited. That's like the real like needle in a haystack. I think I've only heard of like 3 people on the forums.
But that's the one you want.
No one has those.
Yeah.
But that's the one you want if you can.
Mm-hmm.
That 400,000 kilometers. It's fun to see it in that other
damn, that's great
thing.
Let's take a look at some details here. So we'll go here to high voltage.
Test on it last night, but I'll do that. And
it doesn't allow it here though, unless they moved it. Someone told me they moved it.
Oh,
maybe under high voltage battery.
Yeah.
So here's all the modules. That's funny. No information.
Oh, I guess we have less modules, don't we?
Yeah, but I think this is just showing our charge level.
Okay, it just happens to be on the line.
Yeah. Tap on components to view more info. Okay. It's like a half functioning. Wow, there we go. That's funny.
Knows that.
Seats, what does it say? Calibrate seats, nice. I love that you still get this stuff. Now, it's important to mention as well, Ben, that...
Less in the thermal page, for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't have the heat pump or any of that stuff.
No.
But it does have all the cool suspension.
Mm-hmm.
So that's same as my car right there. One thing we should mention is like the use of software updates. This car is significantly more advanced than when it was first delivered.
Yeah. Yeah, it got the media and the games and the apps. It's got full self-driving, so it does, it's hardware 3, even as when they started coming out with it. So it's got, it's one version back from the big update, but still functional.
Yeah, it can get up to 12.6 on the current one right now. And I do love the old stock down here to engage autopilot.
Oh, yeah. I miss that. And I like having the follow distance on there and everything.
Right, you can go here to spin. That's so much better than all the new stuff. And that, in FSD, it changes to chill, assertive, or average.
And the great thing is when there's no interior camera while we're talking about FSD.
Oh,
so
nice.
It doesn't yell at you if you look away for 5 seconds. It just needs to feel torque on the wheel, which means you can just put a hand there and leave it kind of resting. And that's it.
And then
or
it does
just flick that lever backwards and it'll just dismiss the warning.
That's so cool. I mean, I just love the ergonomics of this car so much more than the new S.
It's really good. And I think because you have the narrow screen, you've got really good leg room in here.
Yeah.
For your knees. You can really man spread in this car.
Yeah, it's just so comfortable. They had this so dialed in, and it went, some things got improved with the new Palladium cars, but some things got worse.
You lost a lot of functionality here.
Yeah, so in my Model S, I don't get any trip computer info. I don't get any consumption info up there.
And like on these gens, you just put any bit of additional info you want to see.
Love that.
On the sides.
So good. And so I just don't know why we can't have that in the current cars.
Yeah, and they made a whole big deal about the reason we're doing the yoke steering wheel is so that you can have a better view of the screen. And then they don't show anything on that screen.
I know, it's crazy.
Why?
At least you can get a round wheel now.
Point proven. These also have a cold weather pack standard. Rivian cars do. So heated steering wheel, heated rear seats.
Amazing.
So you're up to tier with like pretty much any Model 3 would be at that point.
So, I mean, if you're looking for a used high mileage Tesla, this is kind of the sweet spot because you get the uber comfortable ride with the adaptive damper. You get, honestly, a relatively new car still with an unlimited mileage battery warranty, which they don't do anymore. So this car's still under warranty.
It does. Yeah, it's got 2.5 years of warranty left. That's true because you're right. In 2020, they switched to that, I think it was 150,000 mile warranty. However, the warranty change brings one other language change. So this was 8-year, 100 unlimited mile warranty on battery and drivetrain. They don't have any call out for battery capacity retention. Whereas in that one that's up to 150,000 miles in a 2020 car, that warranty says retention of 70%.
Interesting.
Capacity. So it would be hard to get this car warranted for degradation. But battery dealt with for that, whereas on the new one, you would theoretically be able to, if there was an issue like that. But
so tell me about the capacity. Ryan just did a range test. Do we know how many kilowatt hours he pulled during that test?
We don't, but why don't I connect our Scan My Tesla app and we'll get some
data. In the range test, we'll be able to see exactly all the nerd details. But what we can say is this still did over 200 miles. It's charging, so it's not happy to turn on. But it still did over 200 miles at 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, which is for the smaller battery not bad at all, especially considering I think we've guesstimated this as somewhere between 15% and maybe 17% degradation.
Yeah, between 15 to 17% degradation in 250,000 miles. And it did from 100 till it stopped moving, like 203 miles or something like that.
206 or
203? Yeah, that's right. Till it stopped moving was like 206 or 207. Yeah. But at 70, it maintained 203 miles. Yeah. And it wasn't perfect conditions.
No. 20 mile an hour crosswinds.
Yep. So it's still a 200-mile range Model S.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
On a full charge, mind you, but
that's full to it's dead. Yeah, below zero.
It's not a road trip warrior. Will not be setting cannonball records anytime soon.
So mostly because of the charging performance.
Mostly the charging performance. Yeah. Now again, that's really easily solved with the larger battery. But at this point, I was like, 250,000 miles. That's funny. Let's buy that one.
Yeah, makes for good content.
It wasn't really like, what's the best car? Like, if we're going to take a road trip, we'll take our Rivian or a gas car or whatever we got. Mm-hmm. We don't ever have to, like, road trip this, but it's kind of fun to have.
Yeah, well, I mean, you are doing, like, a 3,000-mile road trip.
One time.
I
would like to stress the one time on that. Next time you see me out in Colorado, I will take the Rivian, I think.
It does make sense if you have a long commute and home charging.
Yeah.
Something like this. Because you could charge it up 80, 90% every day and then boogie. Yeah. There does seem to be a problem with the battery, though, in this.
Think, yes.
Maybe the start of a problem, which is there seems to be a weak cell group.
Yeah.
And the car doesn't love to charge to 100%. I don't think we've gotten it to 100% yet.
Not yet. But also it's been supercharging this whole trip, and then we just tried one time, really, so... Well, I can get an update on that, I guess.
Yeah, over time.
There is, these are battery modules, and you can see, module 5 here has the biggest voltage difference of anything else.
Yeah.
In some cases, a difference of 0.3 volts. So, bigger than
you want.
Yeah, bigger than you want. Normally you want to be in like the 0.05.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah.
So this is a factor of 10 different. That cell group tends to be one of the warmer ones as well, interestingly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some more resistance.
It's possible we might be able to get a battery out of this thing. See what we can get. Maybe we'll get a 90 or 100 thrown in there. Hey, you never know.
What we can say, though, is it still went without any issue or any fuss to below 0%. Yep. It didn't give any problems. And
it's very accurate at the low end.
Yeah, very accurate. It just charges so slow above 90% and then stops at like 90, anywhere between 93 and 98%.
Yeah, it stopped at 95 and I went out and unplugged it, plugged it back in. We got up to like 97, I think. So.
Right. So, maybe it's just a case of you need to beat the crap out of it for it to work itself back into shape. But I do think... We're going to
exercise it this trip.
Yeah, I think you do have a weak cell group in there. Now, I guess the question is, why did the previous owner sell it right at 250,000 miles?
Milestone. Right?
You think he just wanted to get it there?
Vanity. I drove my car for 250,000 miles and had no problems. Wouldn't that be fun to say?
Did you pull the service history on this?
There's no way to do it. Tesla doesn't report anything.
They do now that you own the car.
Oh. It's not in the app, is it?
You could message them, and I think they'll send you a service history.
We'll see. I mean, as far as we can tell, it's original battery. It's done 1,600 cycles.
Yeah, this is the original battery.
There's no way it's not. And everything else seems pretty good in it.
I'm really impressed with how nice everything feels. We drove this car, no rattles, really.
No
squeaks.
Took it off-road.
It honestly is quieter than my new Model S.
It is,
unfortunately. But yes, Sorry. It really is. And it drives really nice. The one issue with these, though, is if you're an enthusiast driver.
Yeah, the thermal performance on these is not amazing. We think it's probably motor or inverter.
Yeah, I think it's inverter, yeah.
But we did a backcountry, like up the hills.
It's really bad.
Your maximum output is about 300 kilowatts drive power, and then it kind of slowly came down from there after a little while, and then it eventually fell on its face at like 130 kilowatt output, which was essentially just the front motor limping us along, because I think the rear motor was
shut off
way too hot at that point.
And that is interesting because it has that front permanent magnet motor. It's always pulling itself along.
Yes, that's the most efficient motor. So this is the most front wheel drive, and actually most Model S configurations that are all drive are more front biased.
Yeah, up until the current ones.
Did they switch that around finally?
Current one is now permanent rear.
But which permanent rear is it? Is it Model T Performance rear?
I think it's a Model S specific configuration in the
Palladium cars.
Because they make a lot more
power on the new Palladium car compared to Raven. These are good for about 4 seconds 0 to 60, depending on the long range or short range. Either standard range, I think they're the same.
Yeah.
Whereas like you jump now and you're like 3 seconds 0 to 60 on it.
Yeah, they got a lot faster. They charge a lot better now.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So
I think if you can find one of these with a long range battery and you're not like playing the game of let's buy the cheapest highest mileage
maybe 15 grand, 18 grand.
18 grand, get a long range Raven's worth the upgrade, though, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think you save yourself a lot of headache from the early
Or
cars.
just 2018 and newer, because that gives you the MCU2 with the new software.
And the screens don't yellow and
Screens
leak.
don't yellow, they don't leak. You have the more responsive software, so everything just is like what we think of Tesla Snappy, so to speak. Just works better that way.
Totally.
You can do your media, which if you are getting a standard range, you will want to be using the YouTube while charging. So
Yeah, this one. How long do you think your average charging stops are?
25 minutes at least.
And you're getting up to what, 50%?
Yep. 20 minutes to 50% usually, or maybe a little under that. But it's when you need that extra 30% where you're going up to like 70s, 80s%. That's where you're like, I mean, you start looking at the screen, you're like, oh, we're getting 18 kilowatts and I'm watching paint dry up here at 80%. So, yeah.
It starts doing single digits before 90% in this car.
Yeah. It's after you get to like 60%, you subtract from 100 your state of charge, and then that's your kilowatts, basically. So if you're at 90, and you subtract, you got 10 is what it's going to DC charge at.
It takes
or AC.
forever. I think Ryan said it took 3 hours to go 0 to 100.
I think it was 2 hours and 53 minutes or something like that.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's that last 20% that really kills it. Really last 30%, I'd say.
Okay.
Up to 70 is all right.
But for home charging, who cares?
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
This is a
AC.
commuting car. Most people aren't going to cannonball this cross country. They're going to buy it and they're going to drive it as an everyday car.
And that's what you guys bought it for.
That's why we bought it.
And it's going to be perfect for
Truthfully, if you weren't halfway, I don't think we would have driven this. I think we would have shipped it.
that. Right, sure.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
All right. Well, is there anything else to show on this thing? I mean, it's certainly in the 10% challenge we can share with the viewers. It only did a little bit better than a BZ4X.
Yeah.
I think BZ4X was like 42 miles and this was 53 miles, something like that. And the new Model S is well over 100 miles. So a huge difference in road trip performance. But for under 10 grand,
Yeah.
I don't.
And tax credit on this car if you qualify. We did not qualify, but if your income qualifies you, I don't know what the limit is, maybe 70 grand or
Yeah, I don't know.
income. But if you're below that, you could have this with 4 grand off, I think, potentially.
That would have been
So
insane.
you could probably find one of these in the teens, upper
Yeah.
teens, and be out, in a $12,000-$15,000 car, on a $20,000 Model S and get everything you want. And if you are road trip within that large battery, it's nice, but for most people, not going to be much.
We should also mention no accident history, no paint work as far as we can tell.
Only the paintwork Tesla did.
Right, only the bad original paint work.
Yeah, it's all original.
It's just not
It's
done
not
well.
very painted, it just wasn't painted right.
Yeah.
Although actually, is this not maybe one of the better eras for Model S paint quality, would you think?
I feel like this is still when Tesla cared.
Yeah, because I don't see any runs or anything bad.
No, I mean, Colton didn't look at it. He'll find something wrong with anything.
There's some panel gaps that are less good here. We got a little.
Yeah, I think maybe the bumper had someone knocked into it or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter for 9 grand. I mean, that's basically the price of FSD.
Yeah. Oh, so did you wonder if FSD adds value to the car? No. Or actually, maybe this car's worth $0 and it's only 9 grand or 10 grand because it's got FSD.
But that's the thing. It's still really nice. And what's even crazier is, I got out of my Model S and into this car and I was like, wow, I sit better in here. It's just as comfortable. It's just as quiet.
Yeah. You sat here like, oh. Yeah, you sink into it. Right?
It's just nice. And so, this is the move. I really think ignore the early Model S's unless you're a tinkerer and feel okay rebuilding motors and stuff. Those are a little scary.
Yeah. Well,
They're fine because everyone knows what could go wrong.
If you want to go old and cheap and you really are value focused, go for a 90 or 100D,
right?
Pre-Raven car.
Yep, small drive units.
And some of those you can get the coil suspension on still if you're worried about air suspension. But
yes,
250,000 miles, the air suspension works. So
yeah, it doesn't, dude. We went up and down in this. It seems okay. Everything seems okay. That's the crazy part.
There's no stored faults in service mode. It doesn't have any errors other than unexpected charging plug, the usual things. So.
I mean, it's just an amazing deal. I've never seen a car this nice. I mean, if you told me this car had 50,000 miles on it, I would believe it. I'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right.
I'd be like, man, 50,000 miles, someone wasn't careful with the bolster, but I would understand it. I would be okay. It's not, It's not abnormal for a car with miles.
So congratulations on the car. Stay tuned for our testing videos to come. Maybe they've already gone up. I don't know when this video is going to go up, but Ben and Mike are continuing off to North Carolina in this. So you still have a couple thousand miles to go.
Yeah.
And what do you expect for the trip?
Right now, I expect a lot of charging stops. I don't think we're skipping many superchargers. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
But it's actually like, it doesn't feel that bad until you have to make a big charge. If you have to do like a 130-mile gap, that's the one charge where you're like, oh, this feels like it's dragging on. But a lot of times you can plug in, grab a snack, grab a drink. It doesn't feel that antiquated at all. And again, we knew it wasn't going to be the road tripper. So,
well, congratulations. Thanks for bringing it by here, letting us test it. And shout out to whoever drove this thing 250,000 miles. If you're watching this video, that's awesome. Thanks for taking care of it for these guys. And I think Ben and Mike are going to hold on to this for a while, right? That's the plan?
Yeah. So degradation results will be in that video, right?
Yeah.
So that's the real question. 250,000 miles, original battery. Do you got to worry or not? Probably not.
I think that weak cell group does scare me a little bit.
On this specific car, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there's no faults for it. It's just a little weak. And it could be with a few full charges, we'll get a bit of an imbalance. We were looking today on the drive, not well parked, so it wasn't perfect, but it was more closely spaced than it was before. So doing these range tests and actually doing a full 100% charge has balanced the cells out for this.
Yeah, sometimes it's a good idea to drain it all the way and charge it all the way just to whack it back into shape.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think a lot of these cars can't really do a good job balancing at middle charges. They kind of have to be up near the top.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for watching another Out of Spec Reviews video. Shout out to the 250,000-mile Model S. That seems to be totally fine. My buddy Alex, who runs the Out of Spec Renew channel, he has like a 400,000-mile Model S, but it's had a battery and a motor replacement. This thing, and that's an early one.
Yeah.
This thing, pretty much original, no major issues.
I'm imagining the motors are, because they don't really go wrong. These motor types are very reliable.
The one thing you can't fault Tesla for is reliability and longevity. They just hold up so well.
Yeah.
You can fault them for a lot of other stuff.
And I think Model S especially, because this car was sort of engineered no compromises initially, and then they pared it back over time. But I think compared to like early 3s, those are showing their age a little more because they were kind of trying to be cost conscious with a lot of the parts, whereas they were not as focused on the S in some ways.
Yeah, they did a nice job. So thanks for watching. We'll see you all in another one again soon. More updates on this car probably over the years as we catch up with Ben and Mike, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.